Hello guys, this is Sushant. Today we are going to introduce ourselves with what are complex numbers. So before we go into what are complex numbers, let us understand what are real numbers, which we already know. So a real number is represented by a straight line. A real number system is represented by a straight line in which my center is my 0. On the right hand side we have all the positive numbers going up to positive infinity. On the left hand side we have all the negative numbers going up to minus infinity. So on this number system we can represent all our integers, that is we can represent 1, 1000 and so on. We can also represent fractions, that is 1 by 3 and so on, or we can also represent roots, that is irrational numbers. Okay, so what we can't represent on this number system is something like this, a root of a negative number. Now the problem over here is because whenever I am taking square of any number on my real number system, I do not get a negative number. So if I am multiplying or finding square of -3, then it will give me answer as 9. If I am finding square of a +3, then also I will get answer as 9. So nowhere I will get a negative number when I am taking square of that. So coming back to our problem, so root of -4 can be represented or written as 4 into -1. Now this can be split up, that is root of 4 into root of -1. Now root 4 I know the answer is 2. I don't know what is root of -1. So root of -1, as in mathematics, whenever we don't know something, we represent it by a variable like x. In this case, I know the value, that is, it is root of -1. So I am going to represent it with a alphabet which is called as I. Now this I is called as iota. So what you have to observe over here is whenever we have a real number with an I, then this becomes something which is called as imaginary number. It is called imaginary because it cannot lie on my real number system. So that is why it is called as imaginary number. Next we go for the topic which is called as powers of I. So powers of I means basically if I is raised to some value, then what is going to be the answer for that. The first thing I know that I is given by the value root of -1. If I am squaring both sides, then I square will give me answer as -1. If I go continue with finding what is going to be I cube can be written as I raised to 2 plus 1. By laws of indices, this can be written as I square into I. I square is -1 into I, so I am getting I cube as -I. Now next we are finding what is I raised to 4. I raised to 4 can be written as I square the whole square. I square is -1, -1 square is 1. So I raised to 4 has the value 1. Next we go for I raised to 5. I raised to 5 can be written as I raised to 4 plus 1. So it is I raised to 4 into I. So I raised to 5, because I raised to 4 is 1, will be having the value I. So what you observe here is that my powers of I basically are repeating themselves. First we had I, then we had -1, then -I, 1, and again I am getting an I. So it becomes a cyclic order. If you try to find I raised to 6, I raised to 7, I raised to 8, it keeps on repeating itself. So generalizing the powers of I. If I want to find I raised to 4k, now I raised to 4k means that my power is a factor of 4 or 4 is a factor of that power. I raised to 4k can be written as I raised to 4 into k. I raised to 4k can be written as I raised to 4 raised to k. So that becomes I raised to 4 is 1 and 1 raised to k. So 1 raised to k is 1. So I raised to 4k has a value 1. Next we go for I raised to 4k plus 1. So I raised to 4k plus 1 can be written as I raised to 4k into I. I raised to 4k plus 1 will have value I. Similarly, we can find I raised to 4k plus 2. So this will have value minus 1 and I raised to 4k plus 3 will have value minus I. So example, if I want to find what is I raised to 101, I raised to 101 can be written as I raised to 25 into 4 plus 1. So what do you see is that my I is raised to 4k plus 1. So which has a value? I raised to 4k plus 1 has a value I. So that is why I raised to 101 will have value I. We have familiarized ourselves with what are imaginary numbers. Next we go on for the main topic, what is called as complex numbers. We know what are my real numbers. We know what are my imaginary numbers. If I add them, then I get which is called as complex numbers. So complex numbers are defined by letter Z. It is denoted, all the complex numbers are denoted with letter Z. Z is equal to x plus I y. This is my definition of a complex number. So Z is the notation for a complex number, x plus I y, where x and y belong to the set of real numbers. So x and y belongs to real number set and my I is having the value minus 1. So this becomes a definition for what are complex numbers. So you have to always remember complex numbers is a combination of two real numbers basically, but in one there will be I present, so that indicates that that becomes an imaginary number. So in this case my x is the real part of the complex number and y is called as the imaginary part of the complex number. Next we go and understand what is called as a conjugate of a complex number. So conjugate of a complex number, let me define the complex number as z is equal to x plus iy. If I want to define what is a conjugate, then it is denoted by z bar. So if I want to denote a conjugate, then it is denoted by z bar, a z with a bar, and the value for this will be x minus iy. So what you observe is that the imaginary part sign becomes changed. So whenever you are finding conjugate of any complex number, then the real part remains the same, only the sign of the imaginary part changes. If it is a plus, then it becomes a minus, then if it is a minus, then it becomes a plus. For example, if my z is defined as minus 3 plus I4, then z bar will be minus 3 minus I4. So you can see only the sign of the imaginary part changes and the real part remains the same. Next we introduce ourselves with the algebra of complex numbers. So in algebra of complex number, we are going to see the subtraction, the addition, the multiplication and the division of any two complex numbers. So first let me see the addition and the subtraction together. So if I am defining two complex numbers, that is z1 is equal to x1. If I am defining z1 is equal to x1 plus I y1 and z2 as x2 plus I y2. So if I am adding z1 plus z2, then I will have whenever I am finding a complex end result of a complex number, in that case I have to always remember I have to take the real parts together and the imaginary parts together. So in this case, x1 becomes the real part of z1 and y1 becomes the real part of z2. Similarly, x2 and y2 are the real and the imaginary part respectively of the second complex number. If there is a plus sign in between, the real part of the end result will be x1 plus x2. So I'm adding these real parts of the two complex numbers. If I want to find the imaginary part, I take the I common, the imaginary parts will be just added up. So on the same basis, if I want to find subtraction of these complex numbers, then if it is subtraction, then it will be just mere subtraction of the real parts and the subtraction of the imaginary parts. So that is how we add and subtract two complex numbers. So next is multiplication of two complex numbers. I am taking the same two complex numbers, that is z1 and z2. So if I want to multiply z1 into z2, then it is just opening up the bracket. So you just open up the bracket. So it is x1 into x2, this becomes this x1 into I y2, and at the end I am getting I into I, which is I square into y1 y2. So as I said that whenever you are finding the end result of a complex number, you have to take the real parts together and the imaginary parts together. Over here you might say that this is the only real part because everywhere there is an I term present, but you have to remember that I square has a value -1. So basically when I am multiplying two imaginary part, that becomes a real part in a sense. So my real parts are x1 x2 minus y1 y2. So this becomes my real part. To take the imaginary part, it is x1 y2 plus y1 x2. So how do you remember this? Basically when you are multiplying two complex number, what you do, you have to find the real parts. You take the real into real, that becomes one part of it. You take the imaginary into imaginary, that becomes the other part. Then you have to remember that I square is -1. So that is why you have this minus sign over here. To get the imaginary part, you take the real part of the first, multiply with the imaginary part of the second, you get the first part of the imaginary part, and you take the imaginary part of the first number, multiply with the real part of the second number, you get the second part of the imaginary number. Now next let us see what happens if I am multiplying a complex number into its conjugate. So conjugate, as we can recollect, it is just sign change of the imaginary part. So I am multiplying a complex number with its conjugate. So z1 into z1 bar will give me x1 plus I y1 into x1 minus I y1. So if you observe this multiplication, it is a plus b into a minus b, which is having the formula a square minus b square. So it is x1 square, and this becomes minus I square y1 square. I square has a value -1, already a minus sign is there, so that minus sign changes to plus. So how do you remember this? If you are multiplying complex number and its conjugate, then you simply get the square of the real part plus the square of the imaginary part, irrespective of what sign they have. Next we go for division of a complex number. So while you are dividing two complex number, it is not same as division of a real number. So in this case, whenever you are dividing a complex number, then in that case you have to basically multiply the complex number. Let us see how it is done. So if I am finding z1 upon z2 with the same definitions of these two complex numbers, that is z1 is x1 plus I y1 upon z2 is x2 plus I y2. So whenever you are finding this division, what you do is you multiply and divide with the conjugate of the denominator. So you multiply and divide with the conjugate of the denominator. So my denominator is x2 plus I y2. You multiply and divide with its conjugate, that is x2 minus I y2. So this is same thing like rationalization of the denominator. So if you observe the denominator, you are having the same thing, that is you are having a complex number into its conjugate. So answer for that is the real part square plus the imaginary part square. If you see the numerator, it is multiplication of the two complex numbers. So basically you can see over here, we are not dividing it exactly, we are solving it by multiplication method. So x1 into x2, that becomes the first real part of the complex number, and to get the imaginary part, it is going to be iy1 into minus iy2. So it is iy1 into minus iy2. So that is y1 into y2. I becomes I square with the minus sign. I square is having minus 1, so that becomes a plus 1. So that is why this becomes y1 y2 with a plus sign and not a negative sign over here. Now to get the imaginary part, what we do is we take the real part of this and multiply with the imaginary part of the second. So we keep the I outside. So it is x1 into y2 with a minus sign plus y1, that is the imaginary part of the first, into the real part of the second. So y1 into x2. So at the end, what we do is we simply split this up into real part and the imaginary part. So you can see we have split this up into the real part and the imaginary part. So this is how you find division of a complex number. Next is, if you want to say whether the two complex numbers are equal, how do you say it? So if I am saying that z1 is equal to z2, this means that x1 plus iy1 is equal to x2 plus iy2. This implies that x1 is equal to x2 and y1 is equal to y2. So whenever you are having two complex numbers equal, that means their real parts are equal and their imaginary parts are equal, or vice versa. If the real parts are equal and the imaginary parts are equal, then only we can say the complex number is equal. If either of them is not equal, then the complex number does not become an equal number. Next is finding a modulus of a complex number. So modulus of a complex number is defined by mod z, which is given by root of x square plus y square, where my z is defined as x plus I y. So if I am having a complex number z is equal to x plus I y, then its modulus is given by mod z is equal to root of x square plus y square. And the next one is finding argument. So finding argument of a complex number. So same, if my complex number is defined by z is equal to x plus iy, then my argument is given by arg z is equal to tan inverse of y by x. So these are the two important definitions which we have to know. So today we are winding up with our introduction lecture of complex numbers. Next we will be seeing the physical significance of modulus, argument, and the various forms in which complex numbers can be represented.
Thank you for watching video. If you have any doubts, please do share in the comment section. For information, you can go and look it in the about page. It will also give you the schedule of the videos which will be coming up in the month. Do like and share and subscribe our channel. This will help make more videos like this on different topics. Do watch videos on other topics also. Thank you and keep learning.